This is all about access. That's why Joe Scarborough has decided to lick the boots of the Trump administration. There is no other explanation for it because he hated everything about Trump's lying and the conspiracy theories and the tweeting and the Alex Jones and the fake news and the whole bit. So, but now they realize, that this is the incoming and they need to, be friendly and they need to, get these people on the show. So there was Mike Pence this morning sitting there proving my point. But the conversation was about a couple of things. One was about Carrier, which is really interesting because if you would turn to their sister or brother channel, depends, Motherland, Fatherland, it's all the same to the Nazis, I guess. But if you would switch to their sister station, their brother network, CNBC, you would have seen that the CEO of United Technologies, a Carrier, was on with CNBC saying, yeah, these jobs in Indiana that we saved, well, we're going to automate them. So, that's how we'll save the money in the end. We are really not going to keep these people here. We're just going to automate them out of their jobs, and that'll keep costs down. It won't be as cheap as if we went to Monterey, but we're not stupid. He said, I was born at night, but not last night. That was his quote. And he said, I realized that 10% of United Technologies and Carrier's business is from the U.S. government. They're defense contractors. So he said, I'm not stupid. So I said, I'll keep sure. I'll keep the jobs here. Sure. Michael Corleone said this, and Michael Corleone said that, and I said, yeah, sure. He said, but in the end, what we're really going to do is we're going to automate that factory, and those people aren't going to have jobs. So there you go. You want to play games, we'll play games. Then all of a sudden, Trump tweets out, see, this is really what's going on. Then Trump tweets out that he wants to cancel the Air Force One program, which is a Boeing program, which would seem to make no sense to anybody because, Congress contracts with the defense, you know what I mean? They pay because the president can't spend any money, at least now. Who knows what Trump world will be like. But, according to our Constitution, Congress, spends the money. President spends not a nickel. So he tweets out that he's going to end the Air Force One program. He says it's going to cost more than $4 billion. Meanwhile, for the Air Force One, the GAO, the General Accounting Office, puts the cost for 2 Air Force Ones, and you do need 2. One's a decoy, at $3.2 billion. So I don't know what he's talking about, but okay. He says he's going to cancel. And then all of a sudden you realize that during the interview with the CEO of United Technologies, Carrier, they're in a factory. And Jim Cramer is walking through the factory with Greg Hayes, who is the chairman of United Technologies. And what factory are they walking through? They're walking through a factory that makes Pratt and Whitney engines for Airbus, for the A320 Airbus. Now, Airbus, last time I looked, competes with Boeing. So you think maybe Donald Trump, first of all, he can't cancel Boeing's contract. Okay, he can't. Congress has to cancel Boeing. And so, and Air Force One has to become an airborne White House. That's what, and it has to be, missile resistant, and it needs all kinds. It's a flying White House in case of a catastrophe, which George Bush showed you on 9/11. Where was George Bush on 9/11? Where was he? Well, first he was in a classroom of second graders, and he was reading, the GOAT story, right? And then all of a sudden, Andy Card, his chief, whisks him out of the classroom and puts him on Air Force One, and he flies all over the place. Never landing. Why? Because he couldn't. Because the White House was under threat. Because Congress was under threat. The Capitol was under threat. The Pentagon had been hit. And so the White House has to be a flying White House, and it's got to be secure. It has to have, the most advanced secure communication system. But Donald Trump is indicating, I'll use my 750 57. It's fine. It's good enough. And people are buying this swill. But it's not that. It's that United Technologies makes engines for Airbus airplanes, which are foreign, and we use Boeing for Air Force One. And, he's playing some game, and he's not president yet. And nobody is briefing him, and nobody is telling him anything. And Congress, by the way, has already walked away from him on his 35% tariff that he's going to slap on companies like Carrier if they move to Monterey. And they said, he's such a joke. We kind of gave him, 800 jobs, and in exchange, he gave us $7 million, worth of tax incentives. And then, going forward, we're supposed to get all these contracts, which would be so cool. But we're really going to automate those jobs because we don't really want to spend the money on those jobs. And so, I hope the people have a Merry Christmas thinking they're going to have jobs, but they're not going to have jobs. We're just going to automate the freaking factory. But hey, this is good for us. Next thing you know, they're walking through a Pratt & Whitney United Technologies factory, and they said, oh, what are these for? And they go, oh, these are the most incredible airplane engines. They are so cost efficient and fuel efficient. It's the next generation. It's going to save tons of fuel. Okay, all for the good. But these engines, what do they go on? Do they go on Boeing? He goes, no. They go on the A320 Airbus. And Jim Cramer goes, you mean foreign companies? And Greg Hayes, the CEO of United, he says A319s, A320s, A321 models. So Jim Cramer says, well, why would I choose this over something else? He goes, well, look at the size of the fan. Over there, you got an 81-inch diameter fan. Now, that's a really serious fan. That's like 16% more fuel efficient than the last generations of engines that we were building with the E2500. So let me put it in context for you. We got 8,000 engines here. Right here, backlog. And over the next, 10 years. We're going to sell these like crazy. We're going to save 11 billion gallons of fuel. 11 billion. At $1.40 a gallon, you're talking $15 billion worth of savings. That's all great. But this is foreign business. This is all outsourced business, okay?